Hume is a philosopher that comes in the generation right after John Locke, and like Locke, Hume is an empiricist, so he thinks that the way that we're going to get knowledge about most things is through experience, but he does acknowledge that maybe the rationalists like Plato and Descartes did have a good point about a few things. So he recognizes, gosh, maybe it is true that triangles have three sides, and we would know that that's true whether we ever had experiences with triangles or not. So he divides the kinds of thoughts that we have, the kind of knowledge that we have, into two different kinds. On the one hand, there are relations of ideas, and on the other hand, there are matters of fact. Now, relations of ideas, those are the sorts of things that seem to be the strongest examples that, say, Plato had about things that we could know without experience. So mathematics and geometry, mostly, that 3 times 5 equals 30 divided by 2, that's just going to be true in virtue of how the ideas of 5 and 3 and multiplication and division are related to one another. Triangles having 3 sides is true just because, well, that's what a triangle is. A triangle is something that has 3 sides. Whereas, on the other hand, you have matters of fact. These are thoughts about the way that generally objects in the external world are. So the fact that there are 9 planets, or I guess they're saying there's 8 planets now, or that penguins can't fly, or that water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, these are things that we think, but Hume is going to argue, well, they don't seem to be true just in virtue of how the ideas of penguins and flying fit together. So the way that he distinguishes this difference is he says, look, these relations of ideas are discoverable by what he calls operations of thought. So you can just reflect on your own idea of what a triangle is and realize, oh yeah, well, my idea of a triangle just is an idea of something with 3 sides. So that's how you know a triangle has 3 sides, because when you think of a triangle, you think, oh yeah, that's a thing with 3 sides. And because of that, he says, look, relations of ideas are these things such that denying them is contradictory. Now, a contradiction is when you claim that something both is and is not something. So, for example, if we take a relation of idea, like triangles have 3 sides, if we deny that and say triangles do not have 3 sides, Hume would say, well, that's a contradiction. Because what's a triangle? Well, a triangle just is a shape with 3 sides. So if you're saying that triangles do not have 3 sides, you're really just saying shapes with 3 sides do not have 3 sides. And that's a contradiction, because you're saying that, look, there's this shape that both has 3 sides and does not have 3 sides. So relations of ideas are these things that we can know just by reflecting on our own ideas and realizing, oh yeah, if I tried to deny that triangles had 3 sides, that would just lead to contradiction, so it must be that triangles have 3 sides. On the other hand, matters of fact are these thoughts that we have that you cannot discover just by reflecting on your own thoughts. Because if you try and deny a matter of fact, you're not going to run into a contradiction. So, for example, take the claim about a matter of fact that penguins cannot fly. All right, so there's a claim, penguins can't fly. Now let's try and deny that claim. If we deny that claim, we would say, well, penguins can fly. Well, I guess it's possible that penguins could fly, right? There's no contradiction in saying that a penguin could fly. You could imagine even like maybe there's a species of penguin we just haven't discovered yet that actually can fly. So we can't just reflect on our idea of a penguin to figure out whether it can fly or not. We have to go out and look at all the penguins and see whether they fly or not somehow. So these matters of fact, these questions about whether penguins can fly or how many planets there are or what happens to water when it goes below 0 degrees Celsius, These are all ideas that we cannot discover just by reflecting on our idea of what a penguin is or what water is or anything else. So Hume's going to say, okay, so maybe the rationalists are right about relations of ideas, but we've got a problem with these matters of fact, because it doesn't seem like you can come to know matters of fact just by reflecting on your idea. You can't come to know that penguins can't fly just by reflecting on the idea of a penguin and using these operations of thought. So when I come back, we'll take a look at the way that Hume tries to solve this problem of how it's possible for us to know matters of fact.